The grand chamber of the Aelari Empire glowed with living light. Walls of crystal pulsed gently, responding to the thoughts of those inside. Diplomats from 100 worlds stood in perfect silence as Queen Rixthal addressed the council, her voice calm, melodic, powerful enough to still entire fleets. At the far edge of the chamber stood one human, Commander Elias Kane. He wasn't royalty. He wasn't important by galactic standards. He was just a security officer, Earth's contribution to the Interstellar Alliance. A species still considered young, emotional, and dangerously unpredictable. Elias stood straight anyway, hand resting near his sidearm, eyes scanning every shadow. Humans had learned long ago that danger rarely announced itself. The air shifted. It was subtle, too subtle for most species to notice. But Elias felt it. A pressure, a wrongness. Then it happened. A ripple of darkness tore through space itself, forming a blade of condensed energy aimed directly at the Queen's exposed back. The assassin had bypassed every defense, every scanner, every psychic shield. There was no time to think. Elias moved. He crossed the chamber in a blur, throwing himself between the weapon and the Queen. The blade struck him square in the chest. Pain exploded through his body as armor cracked and flesh burned. The force sent him crashing across the crystal floor. The blade shattered. The chamber fell into stunned silence. Guards finally reacted, weapons raised, alarms screaming. The assassin dissolved into ash before anyone could reach it. But no one moved toward the Queen. All eyes were on the human bleeding on the floor. Human. Queen Rixthal rushed forward, lowering herself beside him. Her luminous hands hovered, uncertain, untrained in healing flesh. "Why would you do this?" Elias coughed, a weak laugh escaping his lips. "Guess that's what security's for." Blood spread beneath him, dark and very human. The Queen felt something unfamiliar tighten within her chest. Fear, not for herself, but for him. "You are not bound to me," she said softly. "You owe my people nothing." His vision blurred, but he managed to look at her. "Doesn't matter," he whispered. Someone had to stand there. Medical drones descended, their lights frantic. As they worked to stabilize him, the chamber remained silent, awed, shaken. For the first time in galactic history, an entire council witnessed something no treaty could demand. A human had chosen to die so another might live, and in that moment, the balance of the galaxy quietly shifted. The medbay lights burned white above Elias's eyes as consciousness dragged him back from darkness. Every breath felt heavy, as if gravity itself had doubled. Machines hummed around him, alien, unfamiliar, yet strangely gentle. He tried to move. Pain answered. "Do not," a calm voice said. He turned his head slightly and saw her. Queen Rixthal stood beside the medical platform. Her luminous form dimmed, her posture unguarded. Gone was the untouchable ruler of the stars. In her place sat someone, worried. "You've been unconscious for 3 cycles," she said. "Your body resisted our healing fields. Human biology is stubborn." Elias let out a weak chuckle. "That's one word for it." Her eyes glowed faintly, studying him as if he were both miracle and mystery. "You should be dead. The blade was forged to kill beings far stronger than you. Guess it picked the wrong guy," he muttered. Silence followed, heavy and thoughtful. "You changed the council," she said at last. "They have debated for cycles about strength, power, superiority. And then you, an unaugmented human, stood where no one else would." He turned his head to face her. "I didn't do it to make a point." "I know." Her voice softened. "That is what terrifies them." The doors slid open and several high-ranking beings entered, their forms flickering with restrained unease. They stopped when they saw Elias awake. Murmurs filled the room. A single human stopped an interdimensional strike. "He should not have survived." "Perhaps they are more dangerous than we believed." Elias exhaled slowly. "If this is the part where you decide whether to lock me up or worship me, I'd prefer neither." The Queen almost smiled. "They fear you," she said honestly. "Not because of your strength, but because of your choice." She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "You acted without command, without calculation. You placed another life above your own. That is something our kind forgot long ago." Elias looked at the ceiling, exhausted. "Where I come from, that's just called doing the right thing." The chamber fell silent. The Queen straightened, her presence filling the room once more, not with authority but resolve. "Then perhaps," she said, "it is time the galaxy remembered." She turned to the council. "This human is under my personal protection. His species will no longer be observers." They will stand beside us. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Elias closed his eyes, unaware that his single act had redrawn political lines across the stars. And somewhere deep within the vast reaches of space, powers older than empires began to take notice. The human had survived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The galaxy did not sleep after Elias Kane survived. Across star systems, signals flared, encrypted councils convened, ancient alliances stirred, and long-silent observers turned their attention toward the Alari throne world. One act of sacrifice had done what centuries of diplomacy never could. It had unsettled the balance. Elias felt it long before he understood it. Recovery was slow. His body healed, but something deeper had changed. The medbay had become his prison and sanctuary, guarded constantly, not from him, but for him. Every species wanted to see the human who defied death, some with awe, others with fear. Queen Rixthal visited often. She no longer stood at a distance. She spoke to him of history, of wars fought without mercy, of civilizations erased because compassion was seen as weakness. She spoke of how her people had learned to rule through control, not connection. "And then you arrived," she said one cycle, standing beside the viewport where stars drifted like embers. "And in a single moment, you reminded us of something we buried long ago." Elias looked at her, tired but steady. "I didn't mean to change anything." "That," she replied softly, "is what makes it powerful." News soon reached them. A coalition of outer systems had begun mobilizing. They feared humanity's rise, feared what a species, capable of self-sacrifice, might become if pushed to war. The council demanded action. "Humans must be restrained," one voice echoed through the chamber. "They are too volatile," said another. "Too emotional. Too dangerous." Elias stood before them once more. No armor, no weapons, only scars and resolve. "If you're afraid of us," he said, "then you've misunderstood us. We don't fight because we love war. We fight because we love people." Silence followed. Queen Rixthal rose slowly from her throne. Her presence filled the chamber, radiant and unyielding. "Then hear my decree," she said. "The human race is no longer an observer. They are bound to us by blood freely given. By choice, not conquest." She turned to Elias. "Will you stand with us, not as a weapon, but as a bridge?" Elias met her gaze. In it he saw trust, respect, and something deeper still. "I already am," he said. The chamber erupted, not in outrage, but in realization. That day, the galaxy learned a new truth. Power could dominate, fear could control, but courage, the kind that stepped forward when it could have stepped away, had the power to unite worlds. And among the stars, a quiet legend began to spread. That when the galaxy stood on the edge of darkness, it was a human who stepped forward and said, "I've got this."